On the outskirts of Kampala, a worker from a children's charity has brought me to meet a man who knew that one of his neighbours kept a shrine, but thought it was harmless enough, until something utterly horrific happened to his 3-year-old son, Mukisa. One morning a few months ago, Mukisa was found lying in a pool of blood. His penis had been cut off. Doctors just managed to save his life. Afterwards, the boy told police that it was a traditional healer who lived nearby who had abducted and mutilated him. His parents now want witchcraft banned, but they're much more concerned about their son's future.
Every time I look at him, I ask myself how his future is going to be, a man without a penis, and how the rest of the community is going to look at him with a private parts that can neither be attributed to a female or a male.
Child abductions are not new in Uganda. In the north, in recent years, they've seen thousands disappear, abducted by Lord's Resistance Army rebels. Despite that, people here are no less shocked than they would be anywhere by the new reports of child sacrifice. Deaths aren't always investigated as promptly as they might be. The police lack resources. But the former witch doctor Paulino Angela and Vincent Olling of the charity FAPAD are pursuing their independent campaign against ritual killing. Today, they're heading deep into the bush to convert a particularly notorious witch doctor. First, inside his hut, they need to overcome his final doubts. He fears he'll be lynched if he continues his trade. But if he gives it up, the spirits he's served may kill him. Finally, he agrees to talk. He doesn't ask for anonymity, but even so, we're not identifying him, because some witch doctors have been killed by mobs. He won't tell us, as Paulino and Vincent say he told them earlier, that his clients bring human body parts, but he admits they bring blood.
They go and capture other people's children and use them for such items required.
And then do they bring the heart and the liver here?
They bring the items demanded, that is the heart and the blood, directly here to him in tins to take to the spirits.
And how often does he get clients?
On average, yes, what people who come to me on average are about 3 a week.
3 a week?
About 3 a week, with all that the spirits demand from them.
But he insists he's just a middleman.
What happens is that I only introduce the clients to the spirits, who go and do direct talking, communicating just face to face.
Now, he says, he's abandoning his trade.
I confess and declare that this thing should be banned.
He's leading us, as he says he's never led outsiders before, to the spirit's home. And he'll let Paulino destroy it. Here, the grisly evidence of what the spirits fed on. Is it human tissue? Certainly, Paulino believes it is. He says he's now converted more than 2,400 witch doctors. This shrine's been destroyed, but there are still many, many others like it in this part of Uganda. And more serious, the belief systems that allowed a shrine like this to flourish are still very deeply rooted. Indeed, the witch doctor who supposedly confessed has gone away now. He couldn't stay till the end of the ceremony. He couldn't bear to see the shrine destroyed. And it's not just in remote regions like this that they seek to harness spirit power. Some government ministers consult witch doctors. The Minister of Ethics disapproves of that, but he says spirits do exist.
Oh, they do. Oh, my God, they do, indeed. We accept they do in every society, mind you. But we don't have to listen to them. We don't have to pay homage to them.
Wouldn't it be better for the government to have a campaign against belief in any spirits?
Oh, if we were to do that, well, that would be false, because they are there anyway. We don't have to deny what is a fact. They are there. They have influence over a cross-section of our people. They lead to all sorts of negative results. I think the best way is to say, look, there is the right way and the wrong way. There is no merit at all that you can attach to these evil spirits, but they are there.
I know those rurales are there and they have a role. It's our responsibility to understand the role of a certain force.
In his shrine in central Uganda, the leader of many of the country's traditional healers is telling a group of development studies students where his powers come from.
I was not anointed by human beings.
He's a qualified dentist. But he prefers now to work deep in the forest, in the outdoor school of traditional healing that he's founded. His pupils learn to treat patients using what he calls African science.
You call it different names for different purposes. But in our logic, it is not very logical.
And for the most gifted students, that involves possession by spirits. Here they discover how to overcome pain and to acquire supernatural energy.
Witchcraft was a Western packaging of African science, their way of understanding African science. I'm a spiritualist, and I hear voices, I hear sounds, I see people, what people can't see, but I cannot be described as a witch person. I'm not a witch.
These people are against child sacrifice, against the activities of witch doctors. They simply call themselves traditional healers, but for outsiders it can be difficult to tell where the dividing line comes. At this academy, they want new legislation to distinguish between true healers and what they regard as dangerous quacks.
We have had spirits for many millenniums, many years, and there hasn't been child sacrifice. There are more imposters, there are more pretenses, there is no regulation, proper regulation within the system. So anybody can do wrong things and escape to be a healer. We need to be recognized as a legal entity, and we can filter ourselves out.
Hundreds of traditional healers and members of child protection agencies marched through Kampala recently, calling for a stronger law against human sacrifice. It's a demand that's supported by the government and by the police, though the police say that some witch doctors may actually be boasting of crimes they haven't committed because they want to be feared.
I believe there is a lot of pretense. Yeah, I believe there's a lot of pretense from these traditional healers. Of course, there could be those exaggerations, so that, you know, they can, first of all, be looked at in a fearful way, and also for them to raise the prices.
In this story, it's hard to know exactly where reality ends and myth begins. Is the reformed witch doctor, Paulino Angela, exaggerating his role to stress the power of Christ? And why has he taken such a big risk now, shocking even close associates by confessing so publicly to crimes that he's never detailed before? Won't he be arrested?
I have done this work for quite a long time, and they already know me as a warrior in the drive to end abduction and killing of innocent children. So I think that alone should indemnify me. The least they should grant me amnesty.
He'll be relieved that the ethics minister has told us that old crimes should now be forgotten. But Paulino Angela still has a long road ahead of him as he sets off again to cajole or threaten more stubborn witch doctors into giving up their bloody business. One morning a few months ago, Mukisa was found lying in a pool of blood. His penis had been cut off. Doctors just managed to save his life. Afterwards, the boy told police that it was a traditional healer who lived nearby who had abducted and mutilated him. Abducted by Lord's Resistance Army rebels. Despite that, people here are no less shocked than they would be anywhere by the new reports of child sacrifice. Deaths aren't always investigated as promptly as they might be. The police lack resources. His parents now want witchcraft banned, but they're much more concerned about their son's future.
Every time I look at him, I ask myself how his future is going to be, a man without a penis, and how...
On the outskirts of Kampala, a worker from a children's charity has brought me to meet a man who knew that one of his neighbours kept a shrine, but thought it was harmless enough, until something utterly horrific happened to his 3-year-old son, Mukisa.
The rest of the community is going to look at him with a private parts that can neither be attributed to a female or a male.
Child abductions are not new in Uganda. In the north, in recent years, they've seen thousands disappear.